everybody? We are live. I got my buddy and my brother from another mother, Mr. Jake Clayton, with us. But before we get started, I just want to tell everybody who this guy is. Jake Clayton is a multi-instrumentalist. I can't describe how many instruments he plays, probably one up to 30, something like that, right, brother? So let's go with the bio. From a childhood filled with stories of living in a barn and family members that have broken criminal records, Jake Clayton found a passion for playing music. The passion eventually took him out of the local bands in Real Missouri and placed him in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee. That is country music central. For some of the top names in the business. And after 13 years, Jake Clayton now has a huge list of musicians' accolades that includes performing with icons Brad Paisley, Keith Urban. If you don't know who those are, we can't be friends. Shows at legendary venues like the Grand Ole Opry, Madison Square Garden, appearances on TV shows like Jimmy Fallon, Ellen, CMT Awards, and recording credits on chart-topping albums and, of course, #1 songs. So during this time, Jake Clayton fueled another passion for writing songs, recording music, and touring as an artist. In the past decade, Jake has released multiple EPs, albums, and singles. He has charted a song with the Music Row Country Breakout charts, and he's had a video in rotation on multiple television networks. So Jake Clayton has also traveled around the world, country, and with his own band and opened for many shows for hitmakers, like John Party, Granger Smith, Kane Brown, Cole Swindell, Colt Ford, David Allan Coe, Tanya Tucker, and many, many more. That's an impressive list. I'm not worthy. There's still one major factor that sets Jake Clayton apart from the most musicians and artists alike. Jake has an incredibly rare ability to play over 20 instruments. Very rare, very well. So in short, Jake is one of the few people who can play all the instruments that man ever invented with skills that set alone to equal a band of top musicians. On his own recordings, if you want to watch some of these videos, folks, go check him out. He writes and performs almost everything: percussion, bass, guitar, dobro, fiddle, cello, mandolin, banjo, steel guitar, and the list goes on. But Jake, here we go. Jake Clayton is a musician. He's a phenomenal songwriter. He's a music machine running on all cylinders, and he's building a style of his own. So no matter how you look at it, Jake Clayton rocks. So ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Mr. Jake Clayton. That's quite the bio, brother. How are you doing?
Question after that. Jeez.
Set the bar a little bit high there, eh?
Yes, of course.
Cool. So let's start off here. Where did we meet?
We met, I'm pretty sure it was up in your province, up in Saskatchewan. Am I correct? We're playing a outdoor festival.
One province over. It was Alberta at River Cree.
Gotcha.
My home casino. That's when we opened up for you and Tanya. That was awesome. So there we go. We had some people waiting for the show, and I just want to apologize that 7 Central means 7 Central. I don't know what time. Like if you're saying 7 your time, it could be 8 o'clock my time. 7.
Yeah, so just a mix up on my end. Yeah. I'm sorry. I saw Central time. I thought that since you're in Canada, it makes total sense now.
Yeah, so the time zone, Saskatchewan, the whole world revolves around us, and time is not of the essence. It neither goes forward or back. We're just in the middle.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Cool. So tell me about your influences growing up. Which instrument did you start off with first?
The first instrument I started off with was the fiddle, the violin, and the very first influences that I had was watching Garth Brooks live in Central Park. And his fiddle player, Jimmy Mattingly, is just a big part of the show, to the point where Garth even, adds it on to a point. And I always loved that part of it. So that was kind of my introduction to fiddle. And then from there, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of great acts out that had a lot of fiddle in them. Like all the acts, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Joe Diffie, and then you had the Dixie Chicks that they had the TV specials on TV all the time. Yep. So there was a lot of stuff that you could videotape. And so on VHS tape, I would record whatever fiddle players I could find on TV. There was one performance I remember from the Grammys that was triple fiddled. It was Sam Bush. I think it was like Sam Bush and a couple other people. And it was Joshua Bell. And it was absolutely amazing. And so I had that recorded. So those were things that I could watch. So fiddle was definitely the first, because that was my first love. And then from there, it just kind of spiraled out of control, I guess.
I remember you telling me that if you ever need somebody to play any kind of string instrument, I'm your guy. I'm like, okay, Yeah, but for real, you are the guy.
It's definitely kept me alive here in Nashville for sure.
That's good. So how is Nashville? I guess we'll talk a little bit about the pandemic. Have you guys been hit fairly hard? Like is Broadway as busy as it was at one point, or has things slowed down quite a bit?
It had slowed down completely to a crawl and then kind of came back, and it definitely did one of these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of come back pretty strong, and they understand that, as an industry, entertainment, not just music, but entertainment is basically been gone in the past year. None of our revenue stream, we haven't been able to do shows, any of that stuff. So people kind of get that when they come to town. So people are definitely way more generous than it seems like they used to be when they would come here. So people kind of get it, and they're definitely feeling generous, and they're doing the COVID protocols and making sure that we can continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And just get back out there.
Yeah, that's right. So with that being said, let's talk about No Rest for the Wicked. Is there any rest for the wicked? I mean, this whole thing could try to slow us down, but man, you seem to be busy. Like you're posting all the time. I see your videos. You got so many quarantine, like a lot of shows. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's been, thankfully in the past year, with a lot of artists not out on the road playing shows, they've been writing and recording. So I've been doing a whole bunch of both of those things, writing and recording, both for myself and for other artists. And my guitar player over my shoulder back there, Rob, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but there you go. He definitely is a brilliant songwriter and musician. So we collaborate a whole bunch, and we've created we wrote a whole bunch of songs over the past year. So on top of that, we have a studio, and we kind of use my talents and his talents, and we, do tracks for people. And again, with artists, not being on the road and recording, we've done pretty well doing orchestra tracks for people, violin, viola, cello, things like that, dobro, steel guitar, and just go from there on just pretty much whatever else people would want. But that's definitely been keeping us afloat. But a whole bunch of new music together, and in that process of writing all that, we did what you mentioned earlier, the quarantine sessions, was just some covers of some rock songs that I really, really like and got to listen to. Yeah, so we did my version of those, and that's kind of what we've been putting out while we've been writing and recording on this new material. But we will have some brand new original material out probably in about 2 months, maybe a month and a half, something like that.
Cool. We're in the same boat then. We're actually recording a new song that I'll be sending it to you and see if you want to play on it or not. But I mean, you missed out on one of the songs that I sent. We were talking about the Sped and Devil, how I sent the Devil down to Georgia, and I got my backtrack built down there, and I got it back, and it was off the hook. Like, I loved it. So anyway, let's talk about what song you want to do right now, and we'll give the folks, maybe one song, and I'll get to these comments here in a little bit. But if you guys just want to give us a song, tell us what it is, introduce your guitar player, and we'll go back to the interview.
Sounds good. Well, back to this is Rob Daniels on the guitar.
Rob Daniels.
Yes. So first off, before we play something that's our original, I want to do this song here that I did an album a couple of years ago as a tribute to my late father and to my home state of Missouri. And there's a fiddle tune that I learned growing up, and it's called Devil's Dream. And this song was kind of one of those contest fiddle tunes that I always liked playing, and it's just a really, really fun song. And it's just kind of something to get you up and going. But it's from an album of mine called Show Me State of Mind. The song's called Devil's Dream.
lie, that one gets. I was sitting here, my leg was going, toes were tapping. Yeah, I just about knocked over my computer. I was so excited.
Oh, that's cool.
I just got to say, I love that. One of the best fiddle players I heard growing up was my late uncle Homer Putra. He's big in Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, BC. So that really it brought me some emotion just being able to hear that again. I love it. And also, my uncle did pass away recently. His name was Gus Dion. Was another amazing fiddle player. So that really brings me back home and how I kind of grew up. So besides the fiddle, brother, what other instruments? I mean, we could talk about all. What is 27?
Yeah, so I do pretty much. We'll start with just all the bluegrass stuff: fiddles, dobro, banjo, mandolin, all the different things, bazookies, to go down to all the different types of guitars. I play Hawaiian steel. I play pedal steel.
Mhm.
So then, like the orchestra stuff, you have string bass, cello, viola, violin.
Yep.
Play just electric bass. So the piano, I do anything with keys. I have several different accordions, and I love percussion stuff. So that's some of my favorite things. Anything I can beat on, I'm always, I'm one of those people. Like my mom was always like, "Stop! You're too hyper." I'm just always tapping and beating on things. And,
There's always something to play with, and you must have been awesome in band or music class because there's so much to play with.
Man,
I mean, all the different sounds.
I only did band for 1 year.
That's all you needed. You're a legend now.
Very first year.
Like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's too easy. Too easy.
Well, the weird thing is I did it for a year, and then from there I went to homeschool. So in the time that I had with a music teacher we I think learned 2 songs throughout the time of the band, and there wasn't another violin player, so I was in the middle of the flute players because apparently flute and violin pretty well play the same part, same register and stuff like that. So yeah. That was my band experience in school.
1 year.
1 year.
That's all I need. I'll learn the rest, as time goes on.
We'll
figure it out. And that's pretty well what music is, right? Is like it's figuring out. Like what you're talking about. You recorded some VHS tapes and you got to watch and then kind of listen and emulate, right?
Yeah.
I was the same way. Never got taught anything other than, how to watch and learn and how to read tablature. And that's pretty well as far as I went. So let's talk about some of the things we're going through right now, like the obstacles. Have you been through any obstacles, like growing up with like learning instruments or music wise or getting your name out there? What were some of the things you kind of went through? Obstacles could be small things, big things, up to you.
Well, when I first started, what looking back would be the start of my professional career was when I was 15. So the big obstacle there was getting people to take me seriously or even want to be in a band with someone who is 15 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the first obstacle. And then so you had to, learn how to just be that much better. You couldn't just be the 15-year-old fiddle player. You had to be, I got a really good fiddle player. And yeah, he's happened to be 15. So that, and also, it's just that whole thing growing up back in Missouri, which I absolutely love my home state. And there's some amazing opera shows around there. And I'll be making an appearance at one of those coming up next weekend up in Missouri at Grandma's Country Music in Stoutsville, which they play the kind of like the classic era of country music stuff from the 40s all the way up to the 90s. And they have a very, Missouri has its own style of music. It's a very, man, I can only describe it as it's Missouri music. And I kind of emulated that on my Show Me State of Mind album. But they have, same instruments, guitar, bass, drums, piano. They have a dobro steel guitar player. So it's, traditional country when I go up there. But anyway, there's that.
Cool. And we'll talk about like the triumphs now, like being 15 years old. People aren't taking you as seriously because of the age. And, it's hard to get a kid to play in a bar gig. If you're only 15, you got to play on stage and then go take your breaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I did one show at a casino down around St. Louis, Missouri. And, you have to turn in your license backstage with a security officer and they have to walk you to the stage. And when you're done, they have to come back and get you and take you back to, to their area. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely interesting. It's
cool.
Intimidating.
So your songwriting style, is it, when what do you say is your biggest influence? Because I hear all sorts of, different, I could say, it's like bluegrass, it's very Southern, it's comical. It's like when I was listening to your last song, The Jester, I was like, did he just swear? I love that.
Yes. So with a lot of my material, it's very, very hard to pigeonhole me into a category because I play so many different instruments and do so many different things. One morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to listen to Caribbean music in the morning, and then while I'm lunch, I'm going to be listening to Mediterranean music. And in between recording and stuff, at the end of the night, I'm going to be listening to rock and roll. Like the influences are so wide. So that has been another one of those obstacles from before, is trying to condense everything and define it as a particular style. But we've come up with some things. Country fried is one of the terms that people like to, country fried rock.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I find music is starting to evolve into whatever it's going to involve. Like, I know a lot of the artists nowadays, they'll play with a DJ and they'll play with like a click track or like a background track, and you don't need the whole band anymore. But at the same time, Jay Clayton's a band of his own because you can play all the instruments and then some. So no rest for the wicked, obstacles. What does it feel like to be up on stage? I mean, you've probably been in front of, thousands and thousands of people. What do you find is the biggest? How do you describe that feeling? Like, even when you're playing smaller venues to the sold out stadiums, what does that feel like to be up on stage?
Well, this is going to sound like a major buzzkill, but I had so many great things happen to me at so early in life that, like, when I'm playing for 5 people, I play the exact same if I'm playing in Madison Square Garden, opening up for Brad Paisley with an artist. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody, paid the same amount. They've paid their dues. They're there for the show. They want to see what it is, whether, 5 of them could make it because of a snowstorm or what it is. Like, I've always just approached every audience the same. And I see that with even the feeling. Like, I necessarily can't tell you that I get a bigger rush from playing, Country Fest opening for whoever it is, as opposed to, playing my own shows, just Rob and I in a bar somewhere around. Like, I just love to perform for people. And it's great if they're feeding some great energy. I've had that where the crowd is just, absolutely, they're
there, but they're not there.
Yeah. And so then I've had the exact opposite, where the crowd definitely feeds you, but those things are kind of completely different. I've never really had stage fright or anything, because I guess I don't feel that. Mm-hmm. I'm just always ready to go out there and just hopefully take people, give them their escape, let them get away and have their hour or hour and a half, whatever it's going to be.
Their night out, right? So did you want to give us another song here, and then we'll get back to some more topics we'll talk about, and just introduce the song, and I'll write it down here and introduce it, and away we go.
Sounds good. Give me your G chord there, Rob.
Good thing you didn't say G string there, Jake.
Oh, yes, that's definitely right. I was going to. I'll pull the screen down so you can see the dobro a little bit. I'll scoot back a little bit. There we go. My head's kind of cut off, but we'll deal with it. Okay, so this song is called Running the Other Way. So this is, in all of our lives now, we all are slaves to the screen. We're even talking on them right now to get through to people, which I absolutely love. But at the same time, there's a lot of, weird stuff that happens out there online. And this song is kind of about the online scenario. And for me, I kind of go the other way myself. I run the other way. That's what this song's called, Running the Other Way. 1, 2, 3, 4. You constantly remind me of the wolf held at the door. And if he's gone, he'll come back with a couple dozen more. Nobody's safe. So wipe that pretty smile off of your face. Deception is the weapon that you most often use. The only things that we believe is what is on the news. It's like we're blind. And if Funny thing is we don't seem to mind. You wake us up, shake us up, and you tell us all we're fine. Show up on time, get online, you stare at us in the eye. Anything's on your brain, time out and say, what works best for me is running your way. Why people hate us for the things that we can't change? Discouraging words are all hurt our home on the range. Like no, the way it looks, there's plenty in your cup. You wake us up, string us up, and you tell us all we're fine. Show them all time, get online, you stare at us in the eye. Anyone has on your brain will time out and say, what works best for me is running your way. Oh! Failure to fly. I'm surprised you can't fly. You wake us up, shake us up, and you tell us all we're fine. Shuffle up on time, get online, stare at us in the eyes. Anybody that's on your brain will time out and say, what works best for me is running your way. Running your way. Little slide up there at the end.
All right, love it. Running the Other Way by Jake Clayton. So what's that song about? Like it's about running the other way, like not following the crowd, or people are lost on the phones.
Yeah, everybody just follows everything online. Whatever the computer tells you to do is what everybody seems to do. Well, it said so online. It's like, well, did you check?
Fact check. You always got to fact check before you share anything. I know I've gotten in trouble for sharing something that wasn't necessarily true, and then I got questioned about it. I said, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't share that because I got to check my facts first and see if it's actually true. Turns out it was something that wasn't true. But let's go to the comment section. There's a whole bunch of comments here. Thank you for bringing Jake Rob to your show. Absolutely, Kevin. Love it. People love your music. I mean, Frank Sue Graves Farmer went to school with your dad, uncle, and aunt, and can't wait to meet you and talk to you in person. So your music makes them want to jump up and dance, but the knees might tolerate it. So yeah, as we get older, sometimes those bones they get to tell the story of our younger days.
Yeah, I've been playing music more than half of my life, and the way I felt when I was 15 is definitely not the way I feel anymore. So that's
Do you know of any home remedies? Are you on any medication for any of that? Trick question.
Am I on any medication for any of that? Sure. No, I'm one of those that just a PSA here. I started realizing a while back that I had high blood pressure, so get that checked out. And you definitely notice a difference in how you feel. Silent killer, don't be one of those people. Go get yourself checked out. They can do something about it very simply.
That's right. I know sometimes you get too proud to even go to the doctor, but if your body's telling you something, then you gotta go check it out. Yeah, so you're very musically talented. Those are some of the comments. Joe Hodge is watching. Kevin says, "Hey Jake from Sturgeon, Missouri. Hello from Central. How do I say that? Centralia." Yeah. All right. Rock on. Yeah. From Oxvast.
Yeah, Avaz. That's
Avaz. That's a trick one. From Sturgeon. Okay, that's another comment there. Everyone's just saying hi and watching the show. The first song you played, My Cousin Trudy Putra, definitely a toe tapper. That was definitely a toe tapper. Lead guitar player we had that played with us at River Cree, Donnie Anaquad, when we played the Folsom Prison Blues solo for solo, fiddle for lead guitar, and battle duo. That was freaking amazing. So Donnie says great. One comment I want to make about that show was the drummer, Mike.
Yes, Mike Lennon. Yes, sir.
Okay. He was on tour with the Goo Goo Dolls, right?
Yeah, he was a drummer for I think about 18 years or something.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
So this is going to get really Twilight Zone stuff, but I was on an interview 3 days ago, and some of the first people I met here in Saskatoon were Johnny and Leslie, and they've taken me under their wing and mentored me through the process of music, and absolutely love them. But they were with a band called The Pursuit of Happiness, who was on tour with the Goo Goo Dolls for many years.
Gotcha.
And when I told them, like, we were opening up for Tanya at River Cree, and this is in my home community, and then Johnny just messaged me and he goes, "Hey, before the show, can you say hi to their drummer for me? I know their drummer." I said, "Okay, well, what's his name?" He goes, "Mike." I'm like, "Hey, Mike." Johnny says hello. He's like, "Johnny who?" I'm like, "Johnny Sinclair." "Oh, Johnny, you tell Johnny I said hello." And it's just, music is such a small world.
Yes.
But it's at the same time, it's a big planet we live on. So I mean, what are some of the places you've been to, like internationally, globally?
So one of the very first trips that I ever took as a musician, I was in a bluegrass band back in Columbia, Missouri called Ironweed. And it was fronted by a female vocalist. She played guitar. She was an amazing singer, guitar player. We had a banjo player. It was an upright bass player. And then I played fiddle, dobro, mandolin, whatever was kind of tailored toward the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And we got invited, part of a cultural exchange program, to come over to Qingdao, China, and go over and play at the International Beer Festival. So that was in 2007, and so I would have been 21 years old. Thankfully, I was old enough at the beer festival. That was well. So all that's good. That was one of the first trips, and we were over there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. So it was absolutely amazing. Other than that, toured all over Canada, all over the place up there, pretty much all the provinces. And been to Norway a couple times, been to Amsterdam, the UK. So kind of got the northern part of the UK. So I'm ready to start going down in the southern part now.
Sweet. So when are you coming back to Samadhi's place?
I honestly don't know. That is a restaurant that my sister kind of runs. So I'm not quite sure when I'm going to be back there. So I'm going to be back up in that area next weekend. So I'll talk to her about it. We'll get something figured out.
Sweet. So let's go to this now. Last time we talked face to face, we were outside the casino and we were talking about, like, music, and you talking about you were actually on Jess Moskaluk's album. Yeah. So I was like, hey, that's cool. I love Jess Moskaluk. I got to open up for her at Craven Country Thunder a couple of years ago, 2018, when there was Luke Bryan, Midland, Aaron Tippin, Colin Ray, Sammy Kershaw. Yeah. So that was amazing. So what was that experience like? I know you like helping other artists, like what you talk about, but just being able to have that connectedness of, playing on another musician's track and being able to help her elevate her game to where she's at.
Well, it's always nice to get tracks from producers that you really, really know and trust. Producer who did the 2 projects I played on for her was Corey Crowder.
Yep.
And he sent the tracks over to us. And the first one we recorded here at my studio, JD's Joint, around the Mount Juliet area in Nashville. And it's always nice to get the sessions and you open them up and you listen, and it's awesome. She sounds so amazing. So, it's always nice to get those tracks where it's like, okay, this is what I need to do.
The cat's meow, right?
Yeah, it's just perfect. So that was the first time we worked with her. And then most summers, with the exception of, last one because of COVID, I always go out to the Rockies, to Colorado and Wyoming. Mm-hmm. And so we were out there on the road, and, I'm take all my country instruments, my bluegrass instruments, but I usually don't travel with my viola or my cello. It's just, they're too big. And so we got a track out on the road from Corey Crowder, and he's like, hey, can you do this track? And I'm like, man, I'm kind of out on the road. I don't necessarily know if I can. And he's like, it's another track for Jess Moskaluk. It's actually a couple of tracks for her Christmas album. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, hang on one second. And so I made a couple of small phone calls, and through my buddy Mike Rogers, he ended up connecting me to an amazing fella. So we were able to go to his studio, and he had a cello.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, it was so amazing. So his name was Patrick McAllister. He helped us out with that. And so we did that one out in Colorado, basically up on a mountain where we were recording. It was glass, and you could like see the clouds beneath us. We were in like above the clouds studio or something like that. It was really amazing. So that was the process of working on Jess's stuff, but everything's always been remote. So maybe one day we'll get to meet face to face, socially distanced, of course.
Of course, two or 3 meters apart nowadays, right?
Yes, yes.
So don't forget you performed on Pepper and Friends.
Oh yes, I did. Pepper and Friends. Paul Pepper used to have a show that was on the NBC affiliate there in the mornings, and it was a local talk show, and they had all the cool stuff where they would really help educate people about pet adoptions and recycling and those kind of things. And they would always have a musical segment. And I was scheduled on his show about once every 3 or 4 months. I would go on and perform, and there was amazing people. Him and his partner James. It was an amazing production, and I had a blast there. And there's some great videos, and it's a lot of fun to go back and look at because those were close to 20 years ago.
And pretty soon, people that you inspire will be watching these things on YouTube where they don't have to record anymore. They'll always be there. Yeah. So technology, like what we were talking about earlier, is technology is emerging and it is getting better, but sometimes it's not that good. Like I was trying to get music before the show and that didn't happen, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out as soon as we get there. So Centralia Anchor Fest, what's that about?
So the Centralia Anchor Festival is a festival in Centralia, Missouri, where they make the ground contact anchors for most of the telephone pole lines that are all over the world. So they have a festival, and I've played it several times. It's an amazing festival. It's free to the public, and every time we completely pack out the park, people show up. They're always so kind and generous to us, and so we'd love to play back there again, Centralia Anchor Fest.
Sweet. So let's do this. Let's do one more song, and then we'll kind of end off the show with a little heart-to-heart, and we'll go with what the future is going to hold for us. So give us a little update on what song you're going to do next and a little introduction, and away we go.
All right. Well, we're going to do the song that we had out at radio a few years ago. It's a song that was written by myself, Rob Daniels back here, and a buddy of ours from the Virginia Beach area, Alan Gibson. And it's just some of the, loosely based on some stories from friends of mine, family members of mine, friends and family of theirs, and Al's. So this is one of those. It's another public service announcement. The song is called "What Not to Do." It goes like this. Johnny wanted cigarettes so bad he couldn't think. Didn't want to get a job, he damn sure liked to drink. So late one night he got up and he headed into town. Wife and kids asleep in bed, he didn't make a sound. He walked into the parking lot of his favorite country store, put the pedal to the floor and ran it through the door. Grabbing everything inside and counting on his luck, not knowing that the camera's caught the digits on his truck. Thanks for the lesson, thanks for the time, thanks for living your life of crime. Thanks for the trouble, leaving me through. Thanks for showing me what not to do. He was a businessman who worked to pay his dues. To keep his life of luxury, he had to break the rules. He came up with a winning plan where all but him to lose. Bernie made off with the cash, and now he's headline news. Thanks for the lesson, thanks for the time, thanks for living your life of crime. Thanks for the trouble, leaving me a clue. Thanks for showing me what not to do. Brian was a player, he couldn't have just one. Found himself a second gal, so they all could have some fun. But mighty little problem as the truth did unfold. No one ever counted on her daddy being told. It wasn't very long before the threats would be made. dad would keep the silence as long as he was paid. Brian was king with 2 bullets in a gun. He burnt the house down to the ground, and now he's old and never run. Thanks for the lesson, thanks for the time, thanks for living your life of crime. Thanks for the trouble, leading me through. Thanks for showing me what not to do. Thanks for showing me what not to do.
I miss that sound. It's so weird every time somebody performs live, and we're doing a lot of these virtual concerts now where we're so used to hearing the crowd and we hear nothing but dead air. It's like, well,
I thought I played pretty good.
I thought I played pretty good, but if you guys don't like it, I'm pretty sure everyone's clapping and cheering along on the opposite side of their screens. But I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching the show. And this has been an absolute pleasure, even just to get to meet you at my home community and my home city, Edmonton, Alberta, and open up for such a huge name. That was awesome for us, and we love it. You're amazing. You're quite the player, and you're just getting started. I mean, we're rock stars. We got to live till we're like 100 at least.
That's right. We've got many more of these interviews to do together, right?
Yes. So that's the heart to heart. Basically, thank you for being on the Jarrid Lee Backstage Pass. I really appreciate all the influences and all the music and everything that you've given us here today. So I just want to say you're an inspiration to me, and also to perhaps other people, for being able to learn all these instruments. So if Jake can do it, so can you. So there you go, brother. There's our heart to heart.
Awesome. Love it.
So where can folks support your journey?
So my website, jakeclayton.com. There's all the links and stuff are there. You can pick up my music pretty much anywhere that you stream it. So any of the places that you're used to getting your music, it's there. You can buy it out there as well. So it's pretty much there. Just look it up. You can go for it. Okay,
look it up. Jake Clayton has all the links to all your social medias as well, like the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat.
Yeah.
Cool. We got a couple more comments here, and then we'll call her a night.
Sounds good.
Clapping hands. There you go. Thanks, Jarrid. Jake and Rob Daniels, love it. Rob, also thank you very much. I know you're in the background there, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Great guitar playing. Maybe we'll get to play together one of these days. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But we'll leave it at that. So thanks for being on the Backstage Pass.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Keep doing up. Keep up the good work, man. You're amazing. You're such an inspiration. So there you go, folks. Mr. Jake Clayton on the Backstage Pass with yours truly, Mr. Jarrid Lee. We'll see you again, brother, next time or in the future, someplace down the line, someplace. There you go. So how'd you guys like that? Jake Clayton, right? Amazing. Multi-instrumentalist, very inspirational. Started off as a kid and got to learn how many different instruments. So this guy's like, yeah, keep bragging about me. Keep bragging about me. I wanted to bring you on one more time. One more song. One more song. I hear an encore coming on.
You hear an encore. What do you think we'll do? Yeah, I'll take the guitar.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't want to end. Like I love hearing that fiddle.
Oh, you want to hear the fiddle? Huh?
Or acoustic. Doesn't matter, brother.
Here's a conversation piece to get people going. I think I don't want to do this song here and ask people the first concert they ever went to. And I even want to know from you, what's the very first concert you ever went to?
The first concert I went to was Swollen Members.
Okay.
It was in Cold Lake, and I was like 14, and I went with some like older friends that were like 16, 17, and 18. So I like got snuck into the concert and had to sober drive for my friends. But yeah, that first concert, that was Swollen Members. It was a hip hop group. And then my first actual like big rock concert would have been Nickelback. Guys that grew up from like an hour away from me. So those guys.
Okay. Rob, what was your first concert?
Man, it's been a while. I've been to a lot of concerts, so I'm going to have to think on that one a little bit. Let me think on that.
Okay, so the very first concerts that I ever went to, my Uncle Bill was a huge John Denver fan. So when I was like 4 and 5 years old, he bought tickets and took the family to see John Denver in Kansas City, Missouri. So I guess having the bug from very early, seeing other people do stuff on stage, kind of, it's funny that 10 years after that, I would, start playing music myself. But John Denver was the very first concert I ever went to, and I really, really, really remember as a kid very vivid memories of "Thank God I'm a Country Boy." And later on, growing up, another artist released a really cool version of this song. His name was Billy Dean, and he kind of did a little bit modernized version. Kind of instead of it being more bluegrassy, he kind of pulled it into the country realm. So we're going to do a version of "Thank God I'm a Country Boy" here because the song means a lot to me. It's one of the very first songs I remember ever kind of, really liking and remember seeing somebody else play. So here it is. Thank God I'm a Country Boy. Well, life on the farm's kind of laid back, ain't much of no country boy like we can't have. Early to rise and early on the set. Thank God I'm a country boy. The same kind of life never did me no harm, raising me a family and working on the farm. Days are all filled with an easy country charm. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a farm, I got me gold film. The sun's coming up, I got cakes on the grill. Make me nothing but a funny flow. Thank God I'm a country boy. When the work's all done and the sun's setting low, I pull out my fiddle and I toss it up the boat. Kids are asleep, so I keep it kind of low. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I can play Sally Gooden all day if I could, but the Lord and my wife wouldn't take it very good. So I fiddle when I can, work when I should. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a farm, I got me gold fiddle, and the sun's coming up, I got things on the ground. Life ain't nothing but a money when you're real. Thank God I'm a country boy. I'll pick it up. Well, I wouldn't trade my life for diamonds or jewels. I never was so far than the money hungry fools. Rather have my farm and fiddle and tools. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, the city folks are driving in the black limousines. The low set people thinking that's a mighty king. Son, let me tell you exactly what I mean. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a farm, I got me a whole fiddle. The sun's coming up, I fixed on the grill. Now I ain't nothing but a funny riddle. Thank God I'm a country boy. Take it down. Oh, well, my fiddle was my daddy's till the day he died. He grabbed me by the hand, took me close to the side. Said, "Baby, like, play your fiddle with pride, and thank God I'm a country boy." Really taught me really young, how to fiddle, taught me how to work and play a tune on the fiddle. Taught me how to love and give us the middle. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me the farm, I got me whole fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the grill. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle. All y'all, you know that sound. Woo! Thank God I'm a country boy.
Thank God I'm a country boy. Great. Love it. That's the best way to end off the show. Is a nice little encore. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, we don't want this to end. I know people are getting really, how would I say it, agitated or having an itchy bum. They want to go out. People want to do things. People are craving live music. You know what I mean? So once again, thank you so much for being on the Backstage Pass. Thank you both. Really appreciate it. We'll end it off there. That's 45 minutes of our show. Normally it's about half hour, 40 minutes, something like that. But right on. We'll have to do this again next time on the Backstage Pass with Mr. Jarrid Lee. Thank you again, brother. We'll see you. So there you go, folks. What do you guys think? That was awesome, right? Awesome. Loved it. Just getting back to the comments, Rio Speedwagon, REO Speedwagon, toe tapping, great stuff. That was awesome. Jake is such a huge influence. I need to learn more instruments instead of just one. I mean, such an amazing guy. We'll end it off there. That was great. I was a little bit nervous because Jake's such a great guy and look up to him so much. And I'm like, I'm not worthy. But I guess the more we get up there in the music industry, the bigger artists I can probably interview. And he's very well established and open up for some very big names. And thank you guys so much for coming out and enjoying some time. I'm Jarrid Lee. This is the Backstage Pass here on YouTube and on Facebook. Have a great night, you guys. Enjoy this song, Country Girls by Jarrid Lee.
We're cruising through the city in my new truck. Yeah, it's pedal to the metal and our days up. I got my windows rolled down and my radio turned up. My cousin's riding shoddy with a quad on the rack. We got no care in the world, we ain't looking back. We're anxious to see just how our night turns out. Well, these city girls, they're all on fire. We'll drive around just to tweak their desire. Come on, girl, take a dance with me. It's real easy, just follow the feed. Oh my God, you ain't a country girl. Well, my country girl likes to drink and fight. She'll be drinking double spice rum and coke on night. She's got her tank top on with those Wranglers and boots.